My relationship with my mother-in-law, Linda, has always been warm and respectful. She is in her 40s, but you can't tell that by looking at her. Linda has always been full of life, modern, active, always doing something. She is the kind of woman who loves good company and knows how to make you feel at ease. This weekend, my wife, Sarah, was away visiting her sister, so I decided to take a break from work and head over to Linda's house for a little vacation. She lived just outside of town, in a quiet place with a beautiful lake. It was the perfect place for a vacation. When I arrived, Linda greeted me with her usual warmth. We spent the day lounging by the pool, chatting, and enjoying the quiet. It was exactly the kind of relaxation I needed after a long and stressful work week. The sun came out, the pool was refreshing, and Linda even made a few cold beers for me. Life was beautiful. When evening came, we had a casual dinner together, grilled vegetables, steak, and a glass of wine. Linda and I chatted about everything and nothing, sharing stories and retelling family gossip. We felt at ease, like two friends enjoying each other's company. When deep night came, we said good night to each other and retired to our rooms. I was exhausted from the sun and the swim, so I collapsed on the bed in my swim trunks, not even bothering to change. The summer heat made the air heavy, and I dozed off almost immediately. In the middle of the night, I woke up to a strange noise. It wasn't loud, but it was enough to get my attention. I sat up, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. After a few minutes of listening, curiosity got the best of me, and I left my room, wandering down the dark hallway of Linda's house. The sound grew more and more distinct as I approached Linda's bedroom. I stopped at the door, hesitating. I didn't feel like trespassing, but something about the quiet tension hanging in the air pulled me closer. I knocked softly, barely audible, and opened the door. Inside, Linda was sitting on the bed, her face illuminated by the soft light of the TV. She looked up at me, and I immediately got the feeling that I had interrupted her, watching an unusual movie. But Linda didn't seem upset that I was interrupting her. On the contrary, she smiled calmly and invitingly. "Ryan," she said softly, "come on in. It's getting late." "What are you doing upstairs?" I stammer. "I heard something, and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay." She nodded, still smiling. "Everything's fine." I couldn't sleep either, so I decided to watch a movie. What better way to sleep? There was a brief pause, silence filling the room as we both stood there, not knowing what to say next. Then Linda gestured to the edge of the bed. "You know," she said, "my back hurts from all the gardening I've been doing this week. Would you mind giving me a little massage? It's been a while since anyone has worked those muscles for me." The request was unexpected, but there was nothing inappropriate about it. After all, she was like family to me. After hesitating for a moment, I agreed and walked over to where she was sitting. Linda turned her back to me, and I gently placed my hands on her shoulders, kneading the tension in her muscles. Running my hands down her back, I could feel her body relaxing under my touch. She let out a deep sigh, relaxing into the massage. It was a simple, peaceful moment between two people who had known each other for years. I concentrated on relaxing the knots in her muscles, trying not to think too much about the situation. "That's much better," she murmured after a while. "You're really good at this." I smiled, keeping my tone light. "Well, I've had some practice." When I finished, Linda turned around, her eyes warm and grateful. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I needed that. We sat for a while longer, and the room was silent except for the faint hum of the television. There was nothing more to talk about, and I quietly withdrew, returning to my room. Lying in bed, I thought about our shared connection. There was nothing inappropriate about it, just two people finding comfort in each other's company during a quiet night. I felt settled and drifted back into sleep again. The next morning, Linda woke me with a quiet knock on the door and the smell of breakfast wafting through the house. She had made scrambled eggs, bacon, and toast, a hearty dinner that I definitely needed after the previous day of relaxation. We ate together, talking and laughing as if nothing had happened the day before. The moment in her room seemed like a distant memory, something private and unspoken between us. When it was time for me to leave, Linda gave me a long hug at the door. "Come visit more often, Ryan," she said with a smile. "You're always welcome here." As I drove back to town, I realized that something had changed between us, not in a bad way, but in a way that made me feel closer to her. Linda had become more than just my mother-in-law. She had become someone I could trust, someone who understood me more deeply than I had ever expected. And I knew I would visit her more often, not just because of our common bond, but because it felt right. It was like a new adventure,